fresh snow marks the start of another season for Sasquatch. The season of steel and fur.
If you look right here, got a set of marten tracks running down the hill. I'm gonna find me a spot down here in the bottom and set up a couple marten traps.
It's an ancient art, one little practiced today but by a determined few. Yet trapping is also a necessary art in many ways, and one not destined to die away altogether. Not as long as there are those few like Sasquatch.
That ought to work. Whenever you're setting these pole sets, what you want to do is you want to find a tree. It's always better to have the natural. You've seen a couple sets where I've leaned trees up against pine trees just to create that ramp, but it's always nice to find a tree like this. It makes it hard for the animal to crawl up the back, so it's going to have to scamper right up the front. You set your trap right here, your bait right here, good to go.
This conibear may look small, but it's a killing machine, just like the fur bearers it captures.
Now all I need is some cover for that. There's a nice little pine tree over there. It looks like it'll do the job.
To collect green boughs to camouflage his trap set, Laramy chops off pine limbs. A mountain man like Sasquatch wouldn't get very far along the trail without a good axe, hammered and forged by a master blacksmith.
Today we're going to do something a little different. It's going to be really cool. It's one of the things that I don't know a whole lot about blacksmithing, but I really want to learn because I think it's a lost art in the United States today. There's not very many people that know how to do true old school blacksmithing. And right here I've got Eric, a buddy of mine, that he lives in Bozeman, and he's a phenomenal contemporary blacksmith. So what we're doing is we're taking this hunk of steel and we're going to make an axe head out of it. So how long do you usually leave it in?
For a size that big, about 45 seconds to a minute. It'll be about a kind of a bright orange.
It's awesome for me to come here and learn because that's one thing I'm not very versed in. When it comes to leather products, living in the woods, I can do that. But blacksmithing, it's a trade I really want to know. And luckily, I get to learn from one of the best. This is one of those lost arts in America. There's not very many people in the entire United States that know how to do blacksmithing the way they did it in the 1800s like Eric does. It's definitely labor intensive.
Smithing is as old as Genesis, and the working of iron goes back millennia to when blades were fashioned from the metal of meteors.
You have to heat this metal quite a few times. You want to try to keep that metal right around 1900 degrees. That way it's the easiest to manipulate and work. And then you take a punch like this, and we got to punch the hole for the handle to fit through.
Without blacksmiths, back in the day, mountain men would have no rifles, no knives, no shoes to shod their ponies, no traps to take furs.
So if you look right there, you can see how much this piece is already transformed. It started out as just a rectangle of steel. Now we've got our punch through, and it's actually halfway starting to look like an axe. That thing's still capable of taking off your fingers. A double.
Snow and cold have brought in the trapping season, but Laramy's plunging into the fires of the blacksmith's forge to hammer out his tools for the trail. A sharp axe is a primary trapper's tool.
And all that's doing right there is it's sheltering that trap so you don't get ice and snow on your trigger and it frees up, and also so that the animal can't see it as good. So that little tunnel of love looks like a tunnel of love instead of a tunnel of steel or jailhouse. Now all that's left to do is bait it.
When that fur bearer comes to the baited trap and trips it, the conibear will kill instantly. Death for the old mountain men could lie around the next bend and wear 1,000 faces. Looking to stave off one kind of death, mountain man and trailblazer Jedediah Strong Smith only stumbled onto another. Hunting alone for desperately needed water on his 1831 expedition to the southwest, Smith rode onto a band of Comanche warriors. For a time, Smith stood off 20-1 odds until his horse bolted and a warrior shot him in the shoulder. Smith wheeled and killed the band's war chief with a single rifle ball. Before he could reach his pistols, the remaining Comanches charged him on their horses and speared him to death with their buffalo lances. Dark clouds roll in and the air fills with flakes. For Laramy Miller, the snow will only help him find the prime real estate to set his traps. The Indians called the maker of these tracks the trickster. Now Sasquatch is going to see if he can trick Mr. Coyote.
This right here, we're right along the edge of this slough. There's lots of rabbits and mice in this field, and the coyotes, they love to run little transition areas like that. So what I'm gonna do is this little mound, you want something that's protruding a little bit, I'm gonna set a dirt hole set. This is gonna be where my bait's gonna be set, and my dirt hole is gonna be right into the side of this. My trap's gonna be right here. You want it 16 inches or so for a coyote, and you want it offset a little bit. So my trap, I want the center of my pan to be about right here. My bait's gonna be here, so when that coyote walks up, he's gonna step right in it. If you put it in the center, sometimes they'll come up and put their feet on the sides of it. So you want it offset just a little bit. There's a couple things that trappers absolutely hate, but the worst thing that you hate is freezing. When it melts and freezes, I would rather it stay frozen all the time or stay thawed all the time, because when you get that melt and thaw, it'll freeze up the pan on your trap and makes it hard to ever catch anything. There's a bunch of different sets that you can make. My favorite is the dirt hole. That set right there will catch the crap out of coyote. And one thing as a trapper, I never leave home without some kind of freezer wrap, because when you bed your trap, you want to put freezer wrap on the bottom and freezer wrap on the top, especially when you're in weather like this. That'll help you a lot so your trap don't freeze up. And the last thing you want to do is set your bait hole. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to dig a hole about 3 inches deep right here, back in, like say a rodent was digging in there or something, and throw dirt around so it looks like a prairie dog hole or something like that. And then I'm going to put my bait in there. So when that coyote comes up, puts his nose right in there, steps on my trap. Some good old nasty stink bait.
On to his next trap set, and there's still work to be done at the blacksmith's forge. For Laramy Sasquatch Miller, the time is right for trapping fur, but he's also been at it forging a true mountain man axe. After making a set for the hard-to-fool Coyote, Laramy moves on to place another trap.
If you look right here, this is one of my marten sets. I've already got my nails in the tree. But what you do is you clamp this trap down. What I'll do is I'll put my little branches around that so it kind of shelters it from the ice, but it also hides it from the critters. I'm gonna put a meaty substance as the bait because pine martens are carnivores. They love beaver is the best thing to use, but you use what you have.
Abe Lincoln said that given 6 hours to chop a tree, he'd spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. Now Sasquatch has time to wait for the fur bearers to find the way to his traps, so he's splitting wood for a fire to hunker beside and thinking of axes himself.
We're gonna spread the eye.
They've been hard at it in the Bozeman blacksmith shop of Laramy's friend, forging a true woodsman's axe out of red-hot steel.
So as you can see, what we did is we just spread that eye out bigger. It'll make it easier to form for the handle. So what we're going to do now is we've got the head of the axe in the forge. We're going to forge weld this piece onto the head of that axe, and that's going to be your cutting edge. We'll file that down, and it's a Damascus steel, so it's a lot harder, more compressed than the steel we're using for the head.
They'll hammer the hard Damascus blade into the axe head to forge them together into a single piece of steel. The side of the flux, used to keep off oxidation during the forging steps, reminds Laramy of the kind of welding he knows.
So this is just like if you were welding, say you were stick welding. You've got the coating on the outside of your rods that does the same thing as that flux does. It keeps the oxygen out so your metal doesn't oxidize and start popping and then separate your weld. It's really cool to me because I've done quite a bit of welding, and it's the same difference, just a different way of doing it.
Yeah, really similar process.
With 2 pieces of steel joined as one, Laramy sets about to do the handwork needed to turn it into a wood-splitting axe for the mountain trails. A fine axe is nothing without a good handle, so Sasquatch starts to work one into shape. After the handle is hammered into the head, the final step is to see if the axe bites deep.
You know what? Nowadays you can go buy just about anything you want, but there's something to be said about making it yourself. I believe it'll work.
Yes, an axe will keep you alive in the mountains, splitting wood and many other acts of survival.
Trapping is probably one of my favorite pastimes to do. You learn something new every time you go out. It's not like hunting. Hunting, you go out and you're trying to get within 100 yards of an animal. Trapping, you're trying to get an animal to either step in a spot that big or walk through a hole that big, or it's a lot more challenging. And in my opinion, it's a lost art in our country today. There's not very many people that do it.
Luckily, there are still the likes of a Laramy Sasquatch Miller to keep the old fire stoked.
Vicious little suckers.
It's perfect conditions for trapping prime fur, and Sasquatch has forged a true woodsman's axe for the trail. He's made sets for coyote and pine marten. Now he has to have patience as the animals find his traps. The next morning, and Laramy's out to check his traps. The first is the dirt set he made for the coyote. Fresh snow fell on it, and there's no coyote standing in it. The Native Americans called the coyote trickster, and trying to catch one will teach you why. All Laramy can do is brush off the snow and hope that by tomorrow a song dog has put its paw on the trap's pan. The hardest part of fur trapping may be letting the animals come to the traps in their own time, but it can also be a peaceful time, a silent time, to watch the sky and the snow, the whitened stands of evergreen timber, and soak in the beauty.
What we have here.
All of Laramy's skill, animal senses, and hard work has paid off.
Check it out.
As much as $200 dangling over his shoulder, Laramy heads over to check his second marten set.
Another marten. It's a pine marten, pretty good sized one too. One thing you want to do when you're trapping for furs like this, especially when it's as cold as it is, you never want to take that sucker out of the trap because it'll pull the hair off. You want to let him thaw before you take it out of the trap. A double. I'll take that any day of the week. That's pretty cool, catch 2 pine martens in one day. Pine martens are kind of rare. Catch 2 of them, I'm happy. And that, my friends, is a beautiful marten hide.
Ahead for Laramy Miller stretches more trails to blaze and more traps to set. Following the faded tracks of the likes of Jedediah Smith and all the other boss loppers of the mountains and woods. It's Sasquatch who is keeping their spirit alive, and is on his way to find the one the Voyageur called Le Loup. The Mexicans, El Lobo, the cleverest and toughest of all the furred game, the gray wolf.